Jon Mendez here with another of our little how-tos, and this is one that we've never touched on before, life rafts. So what do we need to think about? Why carry one? When would you deploy it? Where would you stow it? How often should you have it serviced? And most importantly, how and when would you launch it? So why on earth carry a life raft? Well, I can think of several reasons. You might well be too far away from land for your boat to be able to safely make it home. You might be on fire and getting off might be a really good idea. You might suddenly be taking on so much water that it's not going to float. So those are just three that make me think having a life raft's a really sensible idea. So that's a why. Where are you going to stow it? Well, if you're going to have it in a canister, which is designed to be stowed outside, it can be in a locker. You want it somewhere that if the boat's sunk, there's a reasonably good chance that it's going to float free. So this boat here, this is a really nice Fleming, they've got one either side mounted on the flybridge, and the chances of that floating free if it's sunk is pretty good. The fact that there's one either side means even if one got caught under the sun canopy as the boat went down at an angle, the other side's going to come free. So this boat's well provided for. So this rib's got one stowed in a locker. Not ideal, but at least it's got one. That's a really important consideration. So this has got a dedicated space. It will then have a cover to hold it in. So this rather nice yacht's got the dedicated life raft stowage on the stern there. This little yacht here has got a life raft mounted on its coach roof with a cover on. I can't necessarily see a hydrostatic, so we hope it's got some means that it will actually release if needed. But the danger here is it gets caught in all your sails and your rigging. So we've now shown you several locations of life rafts on various types of boat, and every one of them's been in one of these, a box called a canister. You can also have life rafts in soft bags called a valise, and they're generally stowed inside the locker inside the boat. Now that means that if you have an emergency and need it in a rush, you've got to go and get it and be ready to deploy it. And that's not quite so easy. So for me, I prefer to have a canister which is mounted exterior wise on the boat. Now, there's no point having that unless there's a means to release it. So if we manually release it, we have a special clip called a Pelican or a Stenhausen slip. If we have to be sinking for it to be released, we have something here called a hydrostatic release. And how that works is as the vessel sinks, there's a little pressure sensor in here which detects the change in water pressure. That then cuts this line. That in turn releases the line. The life raft will now float free. And it's still attached to the boat because the painter on the life raft is still attached to the weak link on here. So as the vessel sinks, the painter will go taut. That will pull on this weak link, that will snap it, and the life raft will remain on the surface, inflated for you to board. Now that's all a bit dramatic. That's assuming you've sunk. If we had a situation where we needed to get in the life raft before we've sunk, and we always talk about stepping up into a life raft, we can release the manual clip and manually put it to the side of the boat, and we would generally put it on the downwind side of the boat, so the boat's being pressed against the life raft. The exception being if we're on fire, we put it on the upwind side of the boat, because otherwise the life raft will be full of flames and smoke, which is not good. So we can manually release it, we can have it automatically released. You want it located somewhere where there's easy access to the sea. So those are the kind of things that I'm thinking about: location on the boat, and thinking about how to deploy it. So deploying it, they're not light. So this would be a case of undo the clip, and then we will move the life raft to the edge of the water, push it in, pull on the painter, and on your service label it will say how long the painter is. This one is 11 metres, so we'd have 33 feet of rope to pull, and then a sharp tug to make it inflate. At that point, still tied to the boat, so as you got in, you'd use the knife that's always located just in the doorway to cut the painter to allow you to go free. Now, first person in the life raft is not women and children first. We put somebody big and strong in the life raft first if there's a choice, and they'll help stabilise it, and then we'll all follow in. Normally the skipper or captain is the last one in, and normally they'll be the one that cuts the painter. So all of those are things to think about, and it's really good to have talked that through with family and friends so that you understand where it's located, how to release it, and what's the process. So lastly, having talked about where to locate it, when to launch it, what to do with it, just a little bit about servicing. So life rafts generally have a 3 years service interval when they're new out the box, and that becomes progressively shorter as the life raft goes through its age, because the life raft contents, as in the actual raft itself, will slowly deteriorate with age, and after about 12 years you're probably looking at a new one. So new out the box they tend to be 3 years. If they're in a valise they're often yearly, and that's partly to do with condition, partly to do with the gas bottle, and partly to do with the content. So if you've got drugs in the life raft as part of the first aid kit, they will expire. And there's a second part to servicing as well. If you've got a hydrostatic like this, which is the part which makes it release should you sink, that will have an expiry date as well. So the idea of the hydrostatic is the straps pin the life raft onto the boat, the yellow and the black bit. You attach the painter to the red section, either on this says painter line. And what happens is this hydrostatic, as it gets wet to a certain depth, will cut the line. That allows the life raft to float free. Well, that's no use if it doesn't inflate. So the painter line allows the life raft to float until the painter line goes taut. At that point, it will open the raft and it will snap this red bit here, so the whole thing will float free and be on the surface for you, inflated, to make your bad day greatly improving. I hope you never have to use one, but there's quite a bit to service and follow, so it's worth going on a sea survival course and learning all about it.